And I mean small and deliberate steps. This is where organizations make us conform a different way sometimes. Because organizations love large-scale transformative change. They love that. They love these large-scale changes that happen all the time. I've worked in organizations. I've sponsored those kind of changes, and so forth and so on. But what happens with large-scale steps is they can be very uncoordinated, right? And you might end up on your feet, and you might not. But small, deliberate steps moving forward, you absolutely are going to have a disciplined approach. And you can get some castanets too, or something. That's what that sounds like. Okay. Okay. Malala. I read her book, I Am Malala. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Talk about her vision. Talk about her outcomes. Talk about what she's gone through. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. Just alone, her vision and the goals that she has set forth, and then what she's gone through in her life, the adversity. And it's amazing the outcomes that she has in terms of finding her voice at such a young age. And look at the legacy that she's already created for herself. So hashtag get off Intention Island. If you're on Intention Island, get off Intention Island. Moving on to influence. We saw Einstein earlier in Wendy's presentation. Setting an example is not the main reasons of influencing others. It's the only means. That's how you influence others. You set that example. How do you set that example? You set that example by understanding your values. Knowing who you are. That's how you set the example. And then creating that vision. And then going out and influencing others around that. How do we do that? Simple 3 steps. Just simple 3 steps. Listen to understand. Again, the late Stephen Covey said, most people listen to reply. They don't listen to understand. Think about that for a minute. People listen to reply. They don't listen to understand. Happens all the time. I do it. When people are talking to me, it's like, oh, I know what they're going to say, so I'm already generating my reply, right? I'm listening to reply. I'm not listening to understand. Very disciplined approach, listening to understand. Be deliberate with your decisions. Just don't make decisions on the fly. Be very deliberate with your decisions. And then reveal your story. Every leader has a story. Every leader has a story for their communication, for their vision, for their decisions, for everything that occurs to them. That's what finding your voice is about. And reveal your story. It doesn't mean you have to show the world, everybody, and who you are 100%. But the art of storytelling is what makes a successful leader. Great question to ask. Am I serving as an example others want to follow? Great question. Am I serving as an example others want to follow? Are they going to be attracted to you? Here's a great picture. Do you kind of stand behind this, right? I was in Alaska, and I was at an eagle sanctuary. Eagles are the bald eagle. Bald eagle is the bird of America, the icon of America, right? Our natural bird. And I was at an eagle sanctuary where they take injured eagles in, and this was an injured eagle, right? So is this you as a leader, or is this you? Same bird, right? But very different impression, right? This way or that. So which one is you? Exit the shadows. I always coach leaders and work with them, get out of the shadows if you're in the shadows. Get out. If you're in your own shadow, or are you in the shadow of another leader? Are you following another leader? Oh, Scott. Oh, Susan. Oh, Rebecca. Oh, Avi. Oh, Matthias. Oh, Wendy. Oh, Titus. Oh, are you in the shadows of other leaders, or do you stand firm and say, yes, I am who I am. I'm out of those shadows. I'm not in the shadows of Deborah and Jana and all the other great leaders. I stand as my own leader. Courage. This is the hardest one, right? Courage. You discover your values. You set your vision. You demonstrate your influence. Now it's time to expand your comfort zone. Life shrinks or expands according to one's courage. We talked about it today. It's been talked about over and over. Comfort zones. Trying to do something different. But this is the reaction we sometimes get, right? I don't want to see that. I don't want to do that. You know, how do I expand my comfort zone? So, first thing you do is you recognize your CZ. I call it CZ, your comfort zone. Recognize it. Own it. There's nothing bad about your comfort zone. Sometimes we talk about comfort zones like it's negative. Oh, get out of your comfort zone. You're just too comfortable. No, own it. Own your comfort zone. Own your CZ. Seize the opportunities to try out a new behavior. This is what coaching is about. This is where with leaders, anytime something comes up for them, especially in the corporate world, corporations make the greatest laboratory for life. They make the greatest laboratory for us to practice our life skills in a corporation. I love that. Because real life is out here. In a corporation, it's like a laboratory. So you get to practice certain things. So seize the opportunities to try a new behavior based on what you want in terms of your vision. You try a new behavior and then you practice it to make it stick. It's one thing to try it, but it's another thing to kind of just continually practice it to make it stick. Small steps, not large scale. Small steps work. Practice, practice, practice. One of the best quotes. Don't become a wandering generality. You know, don't be just wandering around, drifting we call it, drifting. Be a meaningful specific. Being a meaningful specific means you stand for something. If nothing else from today, stand for something in terms of who you are as a leader. Don't just wander. Don't just drift. Anchor yourself and stand for something. Be a meaningful specific. A lot of questions I ask myself and the leaders I work with. When do I need to burst my bubble? When do I need to burst that bubble? What's the bubble I've got around me, right? And when do I need to burst it? And our last expression, as we wrap up today, what is that expression that you project as a leader? What is that impact you have as a leader? Guess what? Amy Cuddy, who's a Harvard psychologist, came out with a study recently, and she said, when people meet people, they're asking two questions. Can I trust that person, and can I respect that person? And that's why it's all about trust and respect. So when you are in a meeting, when you come up and engage with people, they're looking to say, can I trust you? Can I respect you? Because remember, as Rebecca was saying, it's not about how popular you are or how likable you are. Not at all. It's, are you trusted and respected as a leader? How do you stand out? What is that expression you have? What makes you distinct? What value do you bring? How do you stand out in all of these? And here I am again. This is a great group of people I work with here, right? How do you stand out? How do you lead with expression? Be distinct when you can, but certainly in your communication. Be mindful of your impact that you make. Always think, what's the impact I'm making right now? In this room right now, you're making an impact. You're making an impact on me. You're making an impact on the people that you sit with, the people that you meet, the people that you engage with. You are making that impact. Be mindful of that. What is that impact? And is it full of your intention and outcome of what you want? Commit to your vision and be generous with your gifts. We all have our gifts as leaders. Be generous with your gifts. There's nothing worse than people that got great gifts in the world and they hold them to themselves. Be very generous with your gifts. Whatever those gifts are, discover what they are and be generous with those in terms of yourself as a leader. Great question to ask. This was my sister many, many years ago. What is the impact do I want to have? Again, that's the question. What is the impact? Hashtag create my brand. Hashtag create my brand. That's what I work with when I work with leaders is what's the brand you want to have as a leader? And how do we create that? We look at values, outcomes, influence, stepping out of that comfort zone a little bit, and then crafting that expression, creating your brand. A couple of my leaders came up with a couple they said I could share with you. One of my senior leaders found this image and said, my leadership footprint will be solid and not made of sand. He wants to be really solid in terms of his footprint, the impact he's making in the world. Another one of my leaders is he wants to be known as a leader who is trusted and respected. He's actually not right now. So that's something he's working on. He chose this image because he goes, I don't really quite know who I am. And people are making things up about me that may not always be true, but that's my accountability to own them. So we've set up a vision for him that he wants to be trusted and respected. We're working on that in terms of his own leadership. Corazon Aquino, I would rather die a meaningful death than to live a meaningless life. You think about the circumstances that happened to her right after that plane, when that plane door opened, and all the events that occurred after that, and what propelled her into the presidency. You know, so die a meaningful death than to live a meaningless life. So what is your voice as a leader? This is my new book that's going to be coming out in just a couple of months, or a couple of weeks actually. And I want to say that everything I've talked about is contained. This book is going to be chock full of advice, of guidance, of stories, of different things you can do, tools you can use, practical applicability that you can take. And guess what? You get a book, and you get a book, and you get a